I can go.
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah. Sri Krishna Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadadi Swapadandikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuddhapadakamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavamsa Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanidam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakanyudamsa He Krishna Karna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostude Tapta Kanjana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhana Sude Devi Pranamami Haripriye वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणि प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादिपाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu. So who wants to read the first page?
I'll start to
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
chapter 1.3 The Science of Spiritual Life. What happens to the conscious self at the time of death? On October 10th, 1975, in Westville, South Africa, Srila Prabhupada explains the science of reincarnation to Dr. S.P. Oliver, rector of the University of Durban. Dr. Oliver, we are left in this 20th century, this last part of the century, with a new global search for the truth about the spiritual. We, of course, in the Western world, are not familiar with the Bhagavad Gita. Our problem is basically, I think, the one that you raised in your lecture. How do we make the spiritual a scientific reality? And I think you are quite right. I think really few people get the point that you are trying to make, that this is a scientific matter. Srila Prabhupada. That is the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, scientifically presenting spiritual knowledge. Therefore, I raise the question, what is transmigration of the soul? Nobody could reply properly. We are changing bodies. There are so many varieties of bodies, and we may enter into any one of them after death. This is the real problem of life. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasha. Bhagavad Gita 3.27. Nature is working, providing us with material bodies. This body is a machine. This machine, just like a car, has been offered to us by material nature, by the order of God Krishna. So the real purpose of life is to stop this perpetual transmigration from one body to another, and revival of our original spiritual position, so that we can live an eternal, blissful life of knowledge. That is the aim of life. Dr. Oliver. The conception of transmigration is not, of course, in the Christian religion, Srila Prabhupada. It is not a question of religion. Religion is a kind of faith that develops according to time and circumstances. The reality is that we are spirit souls. By the laws of material nature, we are carried from one body to another. Sometimes we are happy, sometimes distressed, sometimes in the heavenly planets, sometimes in the lower planets. And human life is meant for stopping this process of transmigration and reviving our original consciousness. We have to go back home, back to Godhead, and live eternally. This is the whole scheme of Vedic literature. The Bhagavad Gita gives the synopsis of how to act in this life. Therefore, through the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita, we can begin to understand the constitutional position of the soul. First of all, we have to understand what we are. Am I this body or something else? This is the first question. I was trying to answer this, but some people in my audience thought it was a kind of Hindu culture. It is not Hindu culture. It is a scientific conception. You are a child for some time, then you become a boy, then you become a young man, and then you become an old man. In this way, you are always changing bodies. This is a fact. It is not a Hindu conception of religion. It applies to everyone. Dehinosmin yata dehe kaumaram yauvanam chera tata dehantara pratir dhiras tatra na muhyati. To a devotee, find this verse. Devotee reads, as the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, 13. Srila Prabhupada. In the Bhagavad Gita, everything is explained very logically, very scientifically. It is not a sentimental explanation, Dr. Oliver. The problem, as I see it, is how to get modern man to make an in-depth study of what is contained or outlined in this book, especially when he is caught up in an educational system that denies a place for this very concept or even the philosophy of it. There is either complete neutrality or just a simple rejection of these truths. Srila Prabhupada, they do not accept the soul. Dr. Oliver, they accept the soul, I think so, but they do not care to analyze what it means. Srila Prabhupada, without analyzing this, what is their situation? First of all, they should analyze the distinction between a dead body and a living body. The body is always dead, just like a motor car without a driver. The car is always a lump of matter. Similarly, this body, with or without the soul, is a lump of matter. Dr. Oliver, it isn't worthy very much. I think around 56 cents. Srila Prabhata. But if one cannot distinguish between the car and the driver of the car, then he is just like a child. A child thinks the car is running automatically, but that is his foolishness. There is a driver, the child may not know, but when he is grown up and has been educated, and still he does not know, then what is the meaning of his education? Dr. Oliver, in the Western, can you scroll up? In the Western world, the whole range of education covers only primary, secondary, and tertiary education. There is no place for an in-depth study of the soul. Srila Prabhupada. I talked with one professor in Moscow. Maybe you know him, Professor Kotovsky. He teaches at the Soviet Academy of Sciences. I had a talk with him for about an hour. He said, after this body is annihilated, everything is finished. I was surprised that he told me this. He is known to be a very good scholar, yet still he does not know about the soul. Dr. Oliver, we have an Indology course here, given by a scholar from Vienna. But what he teaches, what kind of basic philosophy, I wouldn't know. There are about 40 students. In essence, they ought to start by making a detailed study of the Bhagavad Gita and use that as a basis for their whole philosophy. Srila Prabhupada. So why not appoint someone to teach Bhagavad Gita as it is? That is essential. Dr. Oliver, our university almost has an obligation to make a study of these points in depth. Srila Prabhupada. By thoroughly studying Bhagavad Gita, one begins his spiritual education. Dr. Oliver, well, this is apparently what one needs. Our Hindu community here in South Africa seems to lack any fixed idea of what constitutes Hinduism. The young people, especially, are living in a complete vacuum. For various reasons, they do not want to accept religion because this is what they see around them. They cannot identify with the Christian religion, the Islamic religion, or the Hindu religion. They are largely ignorant. Srila Prabhupada, they should be shown the right path. This is the original, authentic path. Dr. Oliver, there were not very many great scholars in South Africa amongst our Indian community. The Indian people came, by and large, as workers on the sugar plantations, field workers. A few were jewelers and tailors, and so on. Then, for the last 100 years, there was a political struggle, resisting transportation back to India. They were fighting to make a living and to find their own place in this country. As I see it, they must give meaning to their sense of their own beliefs and faith. I have been telling them that we are privileged to have them here in this country with their background and that they must not cut themselves away from it and drift into a vacuum. But they do not know to whom they should turn. So basically, they and myself and others want to know how we get this spirit into our own hearts and how does this then issue out into everyday living. Srila Prabhupada. That is all explained in the Bhagavad Gita, how to live peacefully in this world and how to go back home, back to Godhead. Dr. Oliver, but how does one get modern man to voluntarily make this experiment? The real tragedy is we have wandered so far away from the spirit that we do not know where to start, and we cannot get a few dozen honest believers to sit down and try to find out how much God wants to give of His mind to our minds. Srila Prabhupada, God is giving Himself. We just have to accept Him. That requires a little advancement. Otherwise, everything is there. God says that the soul is eternal and the body is changing. It is very simple example. A boy becomes a young man and a young man becomes an old man. There is no denying this fact. I can understand it and you can understand it. It is very simple. I remember that as a boy I was jumping and I cannot do that now because I have a different body. So I am conscious that I possessed a body like that. Now I do not possess it. The body is changing, but I am the same person eternally. It requires a little intelligence to see this. That is all. I am the owner of the body, and I am an eternal soul. The body is changing. Dr. Oliver. Now, having accepted that, a further problem then arises. What are the implications? Srila Prabhata. Yes, if I understand that I am not this body, yet at the present moment I am engaged only to keep my body comfortable without taking care of myself, that is wrong. For example, if I am cleansing this shirt and coat thrice daily, but I am hungry, that would be impractical. Similarly, this civilization is wrong in this basic way. If I take care of your shirt and coat, but I don't give you anything to eat, then how long will you be satisfied? That is my point. That is the basic mistake. Material civilization means taking care of the body and bodily comforts, but the owner of the body, the spirit soul, gets no care. Therefore, everyone is restless. They are changing the ism from capitalism to communism, but they do not know what the mistake is. Dr. Oliver, there is very little difference. They are both material. Srila Prabhata. The communists think that if we take control of the government, everything will be adjusted. But the mistake is there. Both the communists and the capitalists are taking care of the external body, not the eternal identity, the soul. The soul must be peaceful. Then everything will be peaceful. Bhoktaram yajnatabasam sarva loga maheshwaram suhridam sarva bhutanam Jnatva mam shantim archati. To a devotee, read that verse. Devotee, a person in full consciousness of me, knowing God, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the supreme lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, attains peace from the pangs of material miseries. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 5, 29. Srila Prabhupada. This means that one must know what God is, because you are part and parcel of God. You already have a very intimate relationship with Him. Our business is knowing God. So at the present moment, there is no information. People have no complete idea. Dr. Oliver, well, I believe that if a satellite in the sky can reveal what is happening from one pole to the other pole, then surely God can reveal His spirit and His mind to anyone who wants to obey Him, who wants to know Him, and who sincerely wants to follow Him. Srila Prabhupada. Yes, yes. So here in the Bhagavad Gita, God is explaining Himself. We have to take it by logic and reason. Then it will be a clear understanding of God. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Who wants to continue? Thank you so much, Vishnu Prabhu. Oh, Hare Krishna, Manu Prabhu, Dandat Pranam, Jai Srila Prabhupada.
I can continue
Yes, Prabhu.
if no one. Dr. Oliver. Yes, but how to get this across? Srila Prabhupada. The teaching is there. We have to understand it by authoritative discussion. Dr. Oliver, I think so. This is probably where one has to start. We have to sit down and discuss this. Much the same as some professors would discuss any scientific experiment. Srila Prabhupada. Process for understanding is described here. Tat vidhi pranipatena pariprasnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam janinas tattva darsinaha. To a devotee, find out that verse. Devotee, just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. Self-realized souls can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. Bhagavad Gita 4.34. Srila Prabhupada. Read the purport. Devotee, the path of spiritual realization is undoubtedly difficult. The Lord therefore advises us to approach a bona fide spiritual master in the line of disciplic succession from the Lord Himself. No one can be a bona fide spiritual master without following the principle of disciplic succession. The Lord is the original spiritual master, and the person in the disciplic succession can convey to his disciple the Lord's message as it is. No one can be spiritually realized by manufacturing his own process, as is the fashion of the foolish pretenders. The Srimad Bhagavatam says, Dharmam tu sakshat Bhagavat pranitam, The path of religion is directly enunciated by the Lord. Therefore, mental speculation or dry arguments cannot help lead one to the right path, or by independent study of books of knowledge can one progress in spiritual life. One has to approach a bona fide spiritual master to receive the knowledge. Such a spiritual master should be accepted in full surrender, and one should serve the spiritual master like a menial servant without false prestige. Satisfaction of the self-realized spiritual master is the secret of advancement in spiritual life. Inquiries and submission constitute the proper combination for spiritual understanding. Unless there is submission and service, inquiries from the learned spiritual master will not be effective. One must be able to pass the test of the spiritual master. When he sees the genuine desire of the disciple, he automatically blesses the disciple with how do you pronounce genuine? Okay, whatever. Spiritual understanding. In this verse, both blind following and absurd inquiries are condemned. Not only should one hear submissively from the spiritual master, but one must also get a clear understanding from him in submission and service and inquiries. A bona fide spiritual master is by nature very kind toward the disciple. Therefore, when the student is submissive and is always ready to render service, the reciprocation of knowledge and inquiries becomes perfect. Srila Prabhupada. The practical example is here. These European and American boys are coming from well-to-do families. Why are they serving me? I am Indian coming from a poor country. I cannot pay them. When I came to the West, I had no money. I brought only 40 rupees. That was only an hour's expenditure in America. So their soul is to carry out my instruction, and therefore they are making progress. Pranipatena pariprashnena. They are asking questions. I am trying to reply to them, and they have all got full faith. They are serving like menial servants. This is the process. If the spiritual master is bona fide, the disciple is very sincere, then the knowledge will be there. This is the secret. Yasya deve parabhaktir, yata deve tata gurau, tasyaite katita yartaha prakashante mahatmanaha. Unto those great souls who have implicit faith in both the Lord and the spiritual master, all the imports of Vedic knowledge are automatically revealed. Shveta Svatara Upanishad. Atta Shri Krishna Namari Napaved Grahyam Indriyai Sevon Mukhehi Jihvadau Swayam Eva Spuratjaraha. Okay. Anyway, if someone wants to continue, he can go on. Or do I? Who?
Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu, thank you so much for reading. Okay, Manu Prabhu, can
Thank
you?
Yeah, I was just chanting and everything.
Okay,
Give me a moment.
yes, Prabhu.
Yeah. No one can understand Krishna as he is. No one can understand Krishna as he is by the blunt material senses, but he reveals himself to the devotees, being pleased with them for their transcendental loving service unto him. Dr. Rashamrita Sindhu, 1 to 234. Bhaktyamam apijananti yadvam yas che mam tatvaha tato mam tatvato gyantva vasyate tat anantaram. One can understand the Supreme Personality as he is only by devotional service. When one is in full consciousness of the Supreme Lord by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. There is a Vedic injunction. One must have full faith in the words of the spiritual master and similar faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then the real knowledge of Atma and Paramatma and the distinctions between matter and spirit will be automatically revealed. This Atma Tattva, or spiritual knowledge, will be revealed within the core of the devotee's heart because of his having taken shelter of the lotus feet of a Mahajana, such as Prahlad Maharaj, 623. Vedic knowledge is revealed unto those who have faith in both the Lord and their spiritual master. Therefore, in Vedic society, the students are automatically sent to the Gurukula, the place of the spiritual master, regardless of whether one is a king's son, or from another background. Even Krishna had to go to Gokula. There is a story that once Krishna went with a classmate to the forest to collect dry wood for his spiritual master. Suddenly there was a heavy rainstorm and they could not get out of the forest. The whole night they remained in the forest with great difficulty. The next morning, the guru, their teacher, along with the other students came to the forest and found them. So even Krishna, whom we accept as the Supreme Lord, had to go to Gurukula and serve the spiritual master as a menial servant. Excuse me. So all the students of the Gurukula learned how to be very submissive and how to live only for the benefit of Guru. They are trained from the very beginning to be first class submissive students. Then the Guru, out of affection, with an open heart, teaches the boys all he knows. There's no question of money. It is all done on the basis of love and education. Hare Krishna. Anyone who desires to get some knowledge, they can start reading. If they don't want knowledge, they can just anyway. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Okay, Haribo, I can read a little bit. I might have difficulty accepting parts of what you indicated here, simply because I don't know. But basically, I accept that God lives in us and that when we leave things to Him, He knows how to direct these things. The challenge is living life so that He will be satisfied. This is where the difficulty comes in. You need the inspiration to be disciplined. This will only become a reality in one's life if one practices it and practice it with others who share this commitment. Srila Prabhupada. Therefore, we have this International Society for Krishna Consciousness, showing how to live a life of dedication to God that is required. Without practical life in God consciousness, it remains simply theoretical. That may help, but it takes longer. My students are being trained up in practical spiritual life and they are established. Dr. Oliver, I want to thank you very much and I pray that God will bless your visits to our country and our people here. Prabhupada, Hare Krishna. 1.4 Reincarnation explained. Remembrance of past lives can be fascinating, but the real goal of understanding reincarnation is to become free from the painful cycle of birth and death. In a lecture delivered in London in August of 1973, Srila Prabhupada warns, this is not a very good business, to die and take birth again. We know that when we die, we'll have to enter again into the womb of a mother, and nowadays mothers are killing the children within the womb. Yeah, this is a scary thing. It's killing the children within the womb. Dehinosmin yata dehe kaumaram jauvanam jara tata dehantara praptirdirastatra namuhyati. As the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth and then to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at the death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. Bhagavad Gita 2:13. Generally, people cannot understand the simple verse. Therefore, Krishna says, Dhiras tatra na muhyati. Only a sober man can understand. But what is the difficulty? How plainly Krishna has explained things. There are 3 stages of life. The first, Kaumaram, lasts until one is 15 years old. Then from the 16th year, one begins youthful life, Yauvanam. Then after the 40th or 50th year, one becomes an old man, Jara. So those who are Dhira, sober-headed, cool-headed, they can understand. I have changed my body. I remember who I was playing and jumping when I was a boy. Then I became a young man, and I was enjoying my life with friends and family. Now I am an old man, and when this body dies, I shall again enter a new body. In the previous verse, Krishna said to Arjuna, all of us, you, me, and all the soldiers and kings who are present here, we existed in the past, we are existing now, and we shall continue to exist in the future. This is Krishna's statement, but rascals will say, how was I existing in the past? I was born only in such and such a year. Before that, I was not existing. At the present time, I'm existing. That's all right. But as soon as I die, I'll not exist. But Krishna says, you, I, all of us, we were existing, we are still existing, and we shall continue to exist. Is that wrong? No, it is a fact. Before our birth, we were existing in a different body, and after our death, we shall continue to exist in a different body. This is to be understood. For example, 70 years ago, I was a boy. Then I became a young man, and now I have become an old man. My body has changed, but I, the proprietor of the body, am existing unchanged. So where is the difficulty in understanding? Dehinosmin yata dehe, Bhagavad Gita 2:13. Dehina means the proprietor of the body, and dehe means in the body. The body is changing, but the soul, the proprietor of the body, remains unchanged. Anyone can understand that his body has changed. So in the next life, the body will also change. But we may not remember. That is another thing. In my last life, what was my body? I do not remember. So forgetfulness is our nature. But our forgetting something does not mean that it did not take place. No, in my childhood, I did so many things. I do not remember. But my father and mother remember. So forgetting does not mean that the things did not take place. Similarly, death simply means I have forgotten what I was in my past life. That is death. Otherwise, I, as spirit soul, have no death. Suppose I change my clothes. In my boyhood, I wore certain clothes. In my yachts, I wore certain different clothes. Now in my old age, as a sannyasi, a renunciant, I am wearing different clothes. The clothes may change, but that does not mean that the owner of the clothes is dead and gone. No. This is a simple explanation of transmigration of the soul. Also, all of us are individuals. There is no question of merging together. Every one of us is an individual. God is an individual, and we are also individuals. Nityo nityanam chetanas chetananam. Of all the eternal conscious individual persons, one is supreme. The difference is that God never changes his body, but we change our bodies in the material world. When we go to the spiritual world, there is no more change of body. Just as Krishna has his Satchidananda Vigraha, Brahma Samhita 5:1, an eternal form of bliss and knowledge. So when you go back home, back to Godhead, you will also get a similar body. The difference is that even when Krishna comes to the material world, he does not change his body. Therefore, one of his name is Achyuta, he who never falls.
Okay, so anyone else can read?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, who wants to read?
Kanjal Prabhu, the most rarest of the rare, who has the most beautiful voice to Gandharva of the group. Can you yeah, you can leave, Prabhu. And this is not a joke this time. No joke. I am pretty sure he's okay. Well, let's see. Krishna never changes. He never falls down because he is the controller of Maya, the material energy. We're controlled by material energy, and Krishna is the controller of the material energy. There's a difference between Krishna and us. And not only does he control material energy, but he controls the spiritual energy also, all energies. Everything that we see, everything that is everything manifested, that is Krishna's energies. Just as heat and light are energies of the sun, everything manifested is made up of Krishna's energy. There are many energies, but they have been divided into three principles. Three principal ones, excuse me. The external energy, the internal energy, and the marginal energy. We living entities are the marginal energy. Hold on 1 second. Okay, that's better. Marginal means that we may remain under the influence of the external energy, or we may remain under the influence of the internal energy as we like. The independence is there. After speaking Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says to Arjuna, Yate che si tata kuru. Whatever you like, you can do. Krishna gives his independence to Arjuna. He does not force anyone to surrender. That is not good. Something forced will not stand. For example, we advise our students rise early in the morning. That is our advice. We do not force anyone. Of course, we may force someone once or twice, but if he does not practice it, force will be useless. Similarly, Krishna does not force anyone to live in this material world. All conditioned souls are under influence of the external or material energy. Krishna comes here to deliver us from the clutches of material energy, because we are part and parcel of Krishna. We are all directly Krishna's sons. And if a son is in difficulty, the father suffers also indirectly. Suppose the son has become a madman, or nowadays a hippie. The father is very sorry. Oh, my son is living like a wretch, so my father is not happy. Similarly, the conditioned soul in the material world are suffering so much like wretches and rascals. So Krishna is not happy. Therefore, he comes personally to teach us how to return to him. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavate glanir bhavati tad atmani tad atmanam sri janmi aham. Bhagavad Gita chapter 4 verse 7. When Krishna comes, he comes in his original form, but unfortunately, we understand Krishna to be one of us. In one sense, he is one of us. Since he is the Father, we are his sons, but he's the chief. Nityo Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitanan. Nityo Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitanam. He's more powerful than us. He is the most powerful. The supreme powerful. We have little power, but Krishna has infinite power. That is the difference between Krishna and us. We cannot equal to God. Nobody can be equal to Krishna or greater than him. Everyone is under Krishna. Ekala Isra Krishna Ara Sabab Britya. Everyone is a servant of Krishna. Krishna is everyone's. Krishna is the only master. Bhoktaram Yagna Tapasnam Sarvam Loka Maheshwaram. Bhagavad Gita chapter 5 verse 29. I'm the only enjoyer. I'm the proprietor, Krishna says. And that is a fact. So we are changing our body, but Krishna does not change his. We should understand this. This the proof is that Krishna remembers past, present, and future. The 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, you'll find that Krishna says that he spoke the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita to the Sangam some 120 million years ago. How does Krishna remember? Because he does not change his body. We forget things because we're changing our body at every moment. This is a medical fact. The corpuscles, excuse me, corpus. Corpuscles, the corpuscles of our blood. So how do you pronounce that? Corpuscles of our blood are changing at every second, but the body is changing imperceptibly. That is why the father and mother of a growing child do not notice how the body is changing. A third person, if he comes after some time, he sees the child has grown. Oh, the child has grown so big. But the father and mother have not noticed that he has grown so big because they're always seeing him and the changes are taking place imperceptibly. At every moment, our body is always changing, but I, the soul, the perceptor of the body, am not changing. This is to be understood. We, all individual souls, are eternal, but because our body is changing, we're suffering birth, death, old age, and disease. The Krishna consciousness movement is meant to get us out of this changing condition. Since I am eternal, how can I come to the permanent position? That should be our question. Everyone wants to live eternally. No one wants to die. If I come before you with a revolver and say, I'm going to kill you, you will immediately cry out because you do not want to die. This is not a very good business, to die and to take birth again. This is very troublesome. This we all know subconsciously. We know that when we die, we will enter again into the womb of a mother. And nowadays, mothers are killing children within the womb. Again, another mother. The process of accepting another body again and again is very long and very troublesome. And our subconsciousness, unconscious, we remember all this trouble, and therefore we do not want to die. So our question should be this: I'm eternal. So why have I been put into this temporary life? This is an intelligent question. This is our real problem. But rascals set aside this real question. They're thinking of how to eat, how to sleep, how to have sex, how to defend. Even if you eat nicely and sleep nicely, ultimately you have to die. The problem of death is there, but they do not care for this real problem. They're very much alert to solve temporary problems, which are not actually problems at all. The birds and beasts also eat, sleep, have sexual intercourse, and defend themselves. They do not know how to do all these things, even without human beings, education, and so-called civilization. These things are not our real problems. The real problem is that we do not want to die, but death takes place. This is our real problem, but rascals do not know it. They're always busy with the temporary problems. For example, suppose there is severe cold. This problem, we have to search out a nice coat, a nice coat or a fireplace. If these are not available, we are in distress. So severe cold is a problem, but it is a temporary problem. Severe cold winter has come and it will go. It is not a permanent problem. My permanent problem is that because of ignorance, I'm taking birth. I'm accepting disease. I'm accepting old age. I'm accepting death. These are my real problems. Therefore, Krishna says, Janma Mrityu Jaravati Dukkha Dosana Dosanu Tarsanam. Those who are actually in knowledge see these four problems: birth, death, old age, and disease. Now, Krishna says, Terastata na mutyati. A sober man is not perplexed at any time of death. If you prepare yourself for death, why should you be perplexed? For example, if in your childhood, a boy and boyhood, you prepare yourself nicely, if you become educated, then you'll get nice job, a nice situation, and be happy. Similarly, if you prepare yourself in this life to go back home, back to Godhead, then where is your perplexity at the time of death? There's no perplexity. There's no perplexity. You will know, you will know, I'm going to Krishna. I'm going back home, back to Godhead. Now I will not have to change material bodies. I'll have my spiritual body. Now I shall play with Krishna and dance with Krishna and eat with Krishna. This is Krishna consciousness. To prepare yourself for the next life. Sometimes entire man cries out because of according to karma. Those who are very, very sinful see horrible scenes at the time of death. The sinful man who knows who's going to accept an abominable body, but those who are pious, the devotees, die without any anxiety. Foolish people say, you devotees are dying, and the non-devotees are also dying. So what is the difference? There is a difference. A cat catches her kitten in the mouth, in its mouth, and it catches also the mouse in its mouth. Superficially, we may see that the cat has caught both the mouse, and the kitten in the same way, but the difference of catching, the kitten is feeling pleasure, oh, my mother is carrying me, and the mouse is feeling death, oh, now I'm going to die. This is the difference. Although both devotees and non-devotees die, there is a difference of feeling at the time of death, just like the kitten and mouse. Don't think that both of them are dying at the same way. The bodily process may be the same, but the mental situation is different. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo viti tattvaha tattvata tva deham puna janma niti mam iti so Juna. Bhagavad Gita chapter 4 verse 9. If you simply try to understand Krishna, you can go to him at the time of death. Everything about Krishna is divine, transcendental. Krishna's activities, Krishna's appearance, Krishna's worship, Krishna's temple, Krishna's glory, everything is transcendental. If one understands these things, or even tries to understand, then one becomes liberated from the process of birth and death. This is what Krishna says. So become very serious to understand Krishna and remain in Krishna consciousness. Then these problems of birth, death, old age, and disease will be solved automatically, very easily. Adira, a sober man, will think, I want to live eternally. Why does death take place? I want to live a very nice, healthy life. Why does disease come? I don't want to become an old man. Why does old age come? Janman, Mrityu, Jaravati. These are real problems. One can solve these problems simply by taking to Krishna consciousness, simply by understanding Krishna. And for understanding Krishna, the Bhagavad Gita is there, very nicely explained. So make your life successful. Understand that you're not the body. You're not embodied within, you are embodied within the body, but you're not the body. For example, a bird may be within a cage, but the cage is not the bird. Foolish persons take care of the bird, but not the cage. Foolish person take care of the cage, but not the bird, and the bird suffers starvation. We are suffering spiritual starvation. Therefore, nobody is happy in the material world. Spiritual starvation.
spiritual starvation. That is why we see. That is why you see that in an opulent country like America, enough food, enough residences, enough material enjoyment, still they're becoming hippies. The young people are not satisfied because of spiritual starvation. Materially, you may be opulent, but if you starve spiritually, you cannot be happy. Hare Krishna. So, Pranjal Prabhu, I just took a turn for you, but now it's your turn. Joe.
Oh, it's almost ending. Manu Prabhu, you can continue this last part.
Okay. A spiritual rejuvenation is required. You must realize, Aham Brahmasmi. I'm not the body. I'm Brahman, spirit, soul. Even though, I'm sorry. Then you will be happy. Brahma Bhutaha Prasanatma Na Sachati Na Kam Sati Samaha Savesu Bhuteshu. Bhagavad Gita chapter 18, verse 54. Then there will be equality, fraternity, brotherhood. Otherwise, it is all bogus, simply high-sounding words. There cannot be equality, fraternity, and so on without Krishna consciousness. Come to a spiritual platform, then you will see everyone equally. Otherwise, you will think I am a human being with hands and legs, and the cow has no legs and hands and legs. So let me kill the cow and eat it. Why? What right do you have to kill an animal? You have no vision of equality, you have no vision of equality for want of Christian consciousness. Therefore, in the material world, so-called education, culture, fraternity, all these are bogus. Christian consciousness is the right subject matter to study. Then society will be happy. Otherwise, not. Thank you very much.
Ribo, thank you, Prabhu. Now we'll go to Siksastakam prayers. Cheto darpanamarjanam bhavamahadavagninirvapanam shreyah kairava chandrika vitaranam vidyavadu jivanam anandam buddhivardhanam pratipadam purnamritasvadanam sarvatma snapanam param vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam.
Nam Namakari Bahuda Nitisar Saktis Chakrabitam Niyamitas Manakalaha. Oh, who's this? No, you can continue if you're speaking.
No, we continue next line. I will.
Okay. Okay. Ita Dushita Kipa Bhagavan Mamapi Durdeva Mitri Samiha Durnina Anuragaha. There you go.
Dinatupi Sunichena, Tarurupi Saishnuna, Hamani Dena Nama, Dena Kirtani Sadahari.
Nadanam Najanam Nasundarim, Kavitamba Jagadisha Kame, Mama Janmani Janmanishware, Papada Bhakti Rahetu Kitwai.
Ainandatanuja kinkaram patita mamishame bhavam buddho kripaya tava pada pankaja sthita duli sadrisam vichintaya.
Nayanam Galad Ashudharya Vatanam Gatgarad Rudargriya Pulaganiti Tambu Pukata Tavanamagriya Bhavishati.
Yugayitam Nimesena Chakshusha Vrasaitam Sunyaitam Jagatarvam Govinda.
Asvisya Padaratam Pinashtumam Darshanam Marmahatam Karodava Yada Tadava Vidadatu Lampato Matrana Nadastu Sa Eva Naparaha.
Haribo, glory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large, because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious.
O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings and others. You have hundreds of millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all the transcendental energies. They are not even hard and fast for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness, you enabled us to easily approach you by your holy names. But I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them.
One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself Lord in the song in the street. One should be more
Should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble. Oh, you continue, Prabhu.
okay. Thinking oneself Lord in the straw on the street, one should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense, false prestige. It should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. Very well.
O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth.
O son of Maharaj Nanda, Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet.
O my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name?
O Govinda, feeling our separations, I'm considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I'm feeling all vacant in the world in your absence.
I know no one but Krishna is my Lord, and he shall remain so, even if he handles me roughly by his embrace, or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord, unconditionally.
Hri Bol, Shri Siksastakam ki jai, Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Sadatta ki jai,
Jai.
Nityananda Prabhu ki
Jai.
jai, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai, Jagat
Jai.
Guru
Jai.
Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Itai
Jai.
Gaur
Jai.
Hari Hari Bol.
Hri
Oh.